Morning, dear learners. Welcome to Teaching Learning session. Today we'll start with merchandising and managing sales displays. In our last lecture of sales management, we discussed about communication skills and the negotiation process, right? Both are very important, that a salesperson should have a very good communication skills. A quick recap of previous lecture. What is communication? Communication is exchange of information between sender and receiver, and both understanding and meaning should be seen, right? That is communication. So it is required that whatever a salesperson wants to communicate should be communicated in a proper way. Negotiation is what? Negotiation is that process which results in a win-win situation for both the parties, right? Negotiation. We discussed in detail about the communication and negotiation in our previous lecture, and today we'll start with merchandising and managing sales display. What is merchandising? In retail context, what to buy, who will buy it, and how it would be arranged in the retail store is a part of merchandising function. The function of merchandising start from the stage of procurement and continue till the product is actually sold. And merchandising role is done by the category managers or merchandising manager. See, sales could be, we can divide this sales into two, that is, and as we said that it could be the industrial sale or it could be business to consumer sale. Now let's discuss about business to consumer sales, that is in retail selling, right? In retail selling, this merchandising plays a very important role, and that salesperson plays a very important role, right? So in retail context, what to buy, who will buy that, right? And how it would be arranged in the retail store, all these processes matters a lot, and it is a part of a merchandising function. And a merchandising role is done by category manager or the merchandising manager. Role and responsibilities that are integral part of merchandising is sales analysis. So it is very important to analyze the sales so that as per the sales analysis we can arrange the products. Then the sales forecasting, it is required to forecast the sales, right? Then the selection of the buyers, target audience, then selection of product range, space allocation, range planning, and the product display. All these plays very, very important roles in sales, right? All products need to be grouped into one category. This is better managed when the customer decision tree is used to find out the hierarchical thinking process of the consumers, right? Through the CDT, that is the consumer decision tree, it is used to find out the hierarchical thinking process of the consumer, and all products need to be in one category. Once it is decided that which all product to keep in one category, the next task is of product assortment, right? In product assortment, the decision related to leading brand, marginal, that is in product assortment, the decision related to the leading brand, marginal contribution of each stock keeping unit, size of units, right? Private versus national brands, like decisions are taken here. How to display that? The third most important role is merchandising is space management, the layout, right? Fixturing, display, and allocation of shelf, right? So it is important that we should categorize, that is the similar product should be put in one category. The next is to keep that in it is important that assortment should be there. After assortment, it is important, the third important is allocation, space allocation or space management, right? It is important. That is visual merchandising. Visual merchandising includes the space allocation, planning around the range of product to be stocked in the retail store and display the selected product in the store. It helps to focus the product and provide the right perspective for attracting the consumer attention, right? Aims of visual, why it is required, that is it is to educate the customer, facilitating the selling process, creating an environment for the product which will create a strong impact of recall value, attracting customer attention and assisting customer to match their needs, right? Why it is required, what is the meaning of sales display? Display refers to showcasing the range of the product that the retailer offer to the customer, and this is to attract the customers, right? What are the objectives of sales display? That is to maximize the product exposures, enhances the product appearance, stimulate the product interest, exhibit the product information, facilitate sales transaction, product security, storage, right, planned purchase, remind the customer for the planned purchases, and generate additional sales and impulse items, right? So all these important things plays a very important role. A display is very important. A display actually perform a threefold job. First is it attract people who otherwise might not go into the store, such as passerby. Second is after they walk in, whether they come in to buy or just to look, exposes them to buying suggestions by counter display and the literature. And those who come in to buy something induce them to buy a large supply by smart packaging or the display. So it plays a very important role. Principles of display, that is there are various principles of display, that is the principle of unity, principle of balance, contrast, dominance, repetition, principle of proportion, and principle of color blocking. All this plays a very important role in sales. Principle of unity, unity is one of the most important principle of design, that is the various elements of display, right, such as the merchandise, display material, signs, accessories should appear in a unified manner as a whole to complete the unit, right? Then principle of balance, there must be harmony among the components and items on the display. Balance may be formal or informal, that is formal balance is symmetry, right? Informal display intended to adopt creative and novel and extraordinary approaches, right? Principle of contrast, that is it involves with focusing on product by stressing on the contrast, such as displaying the light shade product in the dark shade backgrounds. So this is the principle of contrast. Principle of dominance, in this method the dominating the display space by using specially made product or pack of this size much larger than the original size, right, or dominating with use of unusual special efforts as crowd puller. So this is principle of dominance. Principle of repetition basically utilizes a pattern of element that are reoccurred on the layout, right? Then principle of color blocking technique, that involves pairing or contrasting the complementary color to create a bold and visually striking combination, right? What are the significance of display? That shoppers can locate the desired category and merchandise. Shopper get the chance to self-select. Then shopper can coordinate and accessorize. Information on the size, color and prices are widely available, and ease of obtaining information is there, right? Then store design plays a very important role. That is the store device is divided into interior as well as the exterior, right? Interior like fixtures, then displays, color, lighting, ceilings, right, shelving, and the exteriors like sign, right, restrictions, then windows, right, and then again many other things includes the exterior designs, right? Designs plays very important role, but in sales management, recruitment, selection and training of the sales force is very important. Although you are displaying your merchandise very effectively, but again, if your sales force is not well trained, right, how can they help the customer and can convert them into the loyal customers? So recruitment, selection and training, right, of Salesforce plays a very important role. What is sales job analysis? First of all, it is important to analyze the job. What is job analysis? Job analysis is systematic process that involves gathering and analyzing information about jobs requirement, responsibilities and skill needed to perform it. What is job analysis? It is a systematic process which involves what? Gathering and analyzing the information about jobs requirement. What does that job demands? Right? That it is gathering and analyzing the information about the jobs requirement, like about the jobs requirement, what is required, then the responsibilities related to that jobs and the skill needed to perform those jobs, right? So that is the job analysis, that is gathering and analyzing the information about the job requirement, responsibilities and the skills required. Job analysis can help with identifying the right person, helps to determine who is the best suited for the job. When you know about the requirement, what the job requires, what could be the responsibility and what all skill set required in that particular person to carry out that job analysis helps to identify the right person. It determines who is best suited for that job. Establishing the job competencies documents the skills and attributes needed to perform that job. Obviously, job analysis helps in documenting the skills and attributes required to perform that job. So that is to establishing the job competencies. Defining the job requirement. Job analysis helps to define the job requirement, determines the qualification and the conditions needed to perform the job. What all requirements are, what all we required from the person who will perform that job, right? What should be the qualification of that person, what should be the, if experience required, what type of experience do we need, and apart from the qualification and experience, do we need something else, right, from that person? That is the job requirements, right? That is job requirement. Then helps in the documenting the skills required, then identifying the training needs, helps to identifying what training is needed for the job, what type of training, what is the demand of the job, that is the analyzing, that is gathering the information and analyzing the information, that what is the demand of the job, and as per the demand what type of training is required to provide it to the selected person, what type of training is required for that particular job. This job analysis helps in identifying the training needs. Informing position classification, it helps to define the positions, right, grade level and the classifications, right? So this job analysis defines the positions or grade level or the classification of job. Informing the personal actions helps with the promotions, performance appraisals and other personal actions. This job analysis helps in the promotions, right, performance appraisals and other personal actions. Setting performance evaluation standards, it helps to set the standards for evaluating the employee performance. See, it helps to us to understand the requirements of the job, the skill set required for that job, right, and the and then it helps in assessing the training required to provide that job. Then after assessing the training, this helps in informing the personal action, right? Personal action, that is, it helps to it helps us to set the standards for evaluating the employee performance. It is required to evaluate the performance of the employees, right? So this job analysis helps us to set the standard for the evaluation of the performance of the employees, right? It helps with the promotions, performance appraisals and other personal actions. integrating the job duties with the goals, helps integrating an employee's job duties with their goals and abilities, right? So what are their duties? It integrates the employee's duties with their goals and abilities, right? So job analysis is required. Through job analysis we came to know about the details of the job, what is required to carry out that particular job, right? That is known as job analysis. And on the basis of job analysis we come to know about the type of the training required, right, which we are supposed to provide to the selected person. And then it helps us to set the standard of evaluation, it helps to set the standard for the promotions and other things, right? And it helps us to integrate the job duties with the goals, right? Now recruitment. What is recruitment? Once company has determined the number and kind of salesperson or employees it requires, the next step in the selection is to get the right application in sufficient number for the positions. All activities involved in securing the applications for further sales positions are referred to as recruitment. So see, once the company has decided or determined the number of and the kind, that is the number, how many employees or the salesperson do we need, and what all we require from that salesperson. See, after analyzing the job, right, in short, right, the next step is in this selection is to get the number of applications, the right application in sufficient number for the positions, right? So that it's calling for the application and getting the right application in sufficient number so that we can find out. All the activities involved in securing the application for the sales position are referred to as recruitment. What is recruitment? All the activities, right, involved in securing the application, that is inviting the application for the salesperson, are referred to as recruitment. Planning for recruitment. What is the planning for recruitment? For the first step is personal needs, relevant job qualification, job description, job analysis, and fitment to the company's culture, right? Personal needs. Assessing the salesperson turnover in an organization is also important to understand the requirement, right? So first is planning for the recruitment. Whenever you plan for the recruitment, that now we want to recruit the salesperson, right, it is the first important step is the personal need. How many person we want to recruit, and that attrition rate or the turnover rate actually plays a very important role to understand the requirement, right? If attrition rate is high, then we need more people. If attrition rate is low or turnover rate is low, then we might not need that much people, right? We might need very few employees, right? Then the company's work culture. Companies whose recruiting strategies are linked to their core values helps to retain and attract the high performing people and the talent. Then the company's culture plays a very important role, right? Then the analysis of the job. The second step was the analysis of the job qualification, job description, a relevant job qualification and job description. Then it is required to analyze the job first. Job analysis is what? Job analysis is systematic, as I told you earlier, is the systematic process to describe the way the job should be performed, including the task that made up of each of jobs. Job analysis also look at the task performed by the high performance salesperson, compare them with what low performing salesperson on. What is the analysis of the job, right? Then it is important to analyze the job. That it is analysis of the job is what? Analysis of job is a systematic process to describe the way the job should be performed. In what way the job should be performed, right? It tells us the responsibilities, right, or the it sets the standard for the evaluation, right? That is the when you compare the high performing salesperson with the low performing salesperson, means you have set the standard. It set the standards for the evaluation, right? And it set the standards for the promotions, the rules for the promotion. This is the analysis of the job. Job description. Job description is what? That is a written document that details the requirement of each salesperson, right? What is the requirement, right? What the job requires, right? Or what one is supposed to do. That is the task to done routinely, what type of a job that is, that what all one is supposed to do on regular basis, the outcome desired from the job, and the measurement of those outcome, both qualitative and quantitative, the direct and indirect reporting or reportees, the physical and the mental demands of the job, right, described, and the nature of product to be sold. So this is the job description. When you describe the job, what you expect from the employees to do, right, what the nature of product to be sold, the physical and the mental demands of the job, right, what all that jobs requires, and the it defines the hierarchy of reportings, right, the direct and indirect reporting structure, the outcome of the desired from the jobs, the task to be done routinely. This is a written document. Then job qualification. Job qualification is actually, it refers to the skills, knowledge, aptitude and personality traits required to perform that job successfully. The statement of job qualification details includes the educational qualification, work experience, technical expertise, interest, aptitude. All these are the job qualification, right? So recruitment includes personal, that is personal needs, qualification, description, analysis and fitment to the company's culture, right? The first step is in recruitment, selection and recruitment is, selection is when you described a job, when you came to know that we need employees, we want to hire, the organization wants to hire that employees or the salesperson for the organization, then selection and recruitment process starts working, right? Selection is after describing the job, then you invite for the application, right? And it is required that a sufficient number of desired application should be received. After getting the application, right, the time you call for the application, the recruitment process sets in, right? The recruitment process sets in. Selection in selection. What is selection? In selection, we calls for the application, we scrutinize the application as per the requirements, right? In recruitment, right, what are the planning for the recruitment? As we call for the application, as I told you that recruitment process sets in, right? Or when in fact when we come to know that we want to recruit, we need the salesperson or we need the executives for the organization or employees for the organization, the recruitment process sets in, right? So first of all, the first process of recruitment is personal needs, that it is required to understand how many person do we need. Then relevant job qualification, that is analysis of job or the job qualification is required, that what type of job is that, right? What type of a person do we need, what should be the qualification of that person, what should be the do we need some personal prior experience or not, right? What should be other characteristics or attributes, what should be the mental strength we want for that jobs, what should be the mental traits, what should be the physical trait of what are the mental and the physical demands of the jobs, right? Then the job description is what? Job description is when we describe the jobs. Describe the jobs means when we it is a written document which states, it is actually it states about the requirement, the type of job which one is supposed to do, right? That is the job description, that is known as job description. Then the job analysis is what all do we need. That job analysis includes many it's a analysis of the job, what is required, what is the demand of the job, what type of the person we are looking for that job, what should be the traits and the culture of that person should be, right, what type of qualification is required, right, and what should be the physical and the mental traits we are looking for. All this includes the job analysis and then fitment to the company's culture, that it is required that that the recruiting strategies are linked with the core values of the company, and that helps to retain and attract the high performing people and the talent, right. Recruitment sources, that there could be many recruitment sources, the traditional and the contemporary sources. Traditional sources like advertising as a traditional source, right. We give the advertisements in the print media or anywhere else, right. That is the traditional source of recruitment. You might have seen the that is the advertisements in the various newspaper, right, like employment newspaper or Ascent or many other. And then through employment agencies, when companies hire through the employment agencies, this is again the traditional way to traditional way of recruitment. Job portal, online advertising, right, campus and college hiring, right, again salesmen of non-competing companies, right, when we hire someone from the non-competing companies, salesmen of the competing companies, customers and the sellers. Then the internal transfer, when transfer from one department to another department, or through employee referrals, when some employee refers, right, that is, these are the methods of recruitment, some traditional and some contemporary methods, right. Then again there are tools of selection, right. When we call for the application, there are tools for selection, like application forms, then personal interviews, follow up, background checks, testing, physical examinations, right. All these are the tools of selections. Like application forms, first of all you call for the applications, they are supposed to fill up the application forms, right. After calling for the application, when you receive the application, you scrutinize those application as per the requirement, right. Then the selected applicants, right, then one calls for the selected applicants for the interviews. Then comes the second tool of selection is personal interviews, the right. There could be many one or many rounds of the personal interviews where the companies or the caliber or the qualities or the attributes of the person who has applied for that particular job has been evaluated. Then follow ups, right. Then you follow up that when you offer someone, then you follow up those person whether they are joining or not. Then background checks, right. You then before appointing or recruiting anyone, it is important to carry out the background checks. Background checks includes that getting the that is checking their documents like certifications or their check of their, that is when one checks about their prior experiences and other things, that is the background check. Then at times physical examinations or testing is required, right. It varies from organization to organization and nature of job, right. After selection and recruitment, right, then comes the training process. What is the training process? Training can be defined as learning to change the performance of people doing certain tasks, right. See, after recruitment, it is required to train the person, right, as per the requirement of the company, right. So training includes the assessment of organizational objectives and strategies, right. that is the training person, first of all training person starts with the assessment of organizational objectives and strategies. What is the strategies, what is the objective of the organization and the strategies of the organization. As per the objective and the strategies of the organization, right, we assesses the needs of training, right, what type of a training is required, right, the assessment of training, this leads to this assessment of organizational objectives and strategies, leads to assessment of training needs, what type of training is required. Then after assessment of training needs, this assessment of training needs leads to establishment of training goals, right, what type of training, assessment of training needs, do we what type of a training is required, whether it is required to provide the training or not, and what do we want to achieve through that training, that is establishing the training goals, what we want to achieve through that training. Then we develop our goals, establishment of training goals, and this leads to designing the training and development program, right. As per the training goal, right, organization develop and design their training programs, right, and this leads to the implementation of training program, right. After designing and developing the training program, we implement it. Implementation means then we start providing training to the our employees, right, and then we evaluate the result, right, whether we have achieved our goals or not. This is the process of training, right. Training is the change in the is defined as learning to change the performance of people doing certain task, right, and that the training goal should be in line with the organizational goals or objectives or strategies, right. Thus as per the organizational objectives or strategies, we develop our training needs, right, and then as per the assessment of training needs, we develop our goals and develop our training programs, implement the training program and evaluate the results, right. Now what are the areas of sales training, like specifically what are the areas of sales training? Company's knowledge, right. What type of a training is required to a salesperson? The first and foremost thing is that company's knowledge, that person should have knowledge about the company, so that he can be confident about the company, and if customer ask anything about the company, he should be able to answer the queries or question. The nature of industry to which organization is related, the organization place in its industry and industrial practices, all these things plays a very important role, right. About the company's knowledge, should be well versed with the company, the type of the company, that is the type of the industry, right, nature of the industry to which the organization is related, and the place of organization, right, in the industry, right, and should be well versed with the industrial practices. Then the product knowledge and application, should be well versed with the product knowledge and applications, right, should be well versed what is the what all products companies manufacturing or providing, and the applications of the products, should be well versed with that, should provide the knowledge about the that training should be on the, that is the training should provide the company's knowledge, then the knowledge about the product and its application, then sales technique, training about the sales technique, the selling process, right, negotiation skills, sales presentation, handling complaints, post sales follow-ups, etc., right. All these things requires a training. The first part of the training is that one should provide the training about the organization, right, what type of organization they are into and what is the position of the organization in the industry. Then the second part of the training is they should be well versed with the products and their application, what all products company is offering and what is the applications of those products, right? Then then it is required that training should be provided on the sales technique, how to sell that product, right? The selling process, that training should be provided on the selling process, right? How one can sell the product, right? So selling process. Then negotiation skills, training should be provided on the negotiation skills. Negotiations are very important. Negotiation is again what, that both parties should be in win-win situation, right? That you should get the customer and customer should feel satisfied, right? So negotiation skills should provide the training on the negotiation skills, how to negotiate, right? Then the sales presentation, how to present your product or what type of presentation is required, right? So training should be that training training should include, and training includes in fact sales presentation, what type of presentation is required. Handling complaints, then training about handling the complaints, right? If someone complains, then how to handle those complaints. Post sales follow-ups, right? It is how to follow up the customers after sales, right? All these things requires training, and training should be provided on all these topics. Then reporting system, right? Then training should be provided on the reporting system. It should be it should be clear to each and everyone the hierarchy of the organization, how to report, whom to report and how to report. It should be very clear so that there should be no confusions. Reporting system. Analysis of sales data and marketing intelligence, right? Then training should be provided on the analysis of sales data, how to analyze the sales data, and if some rectification is required so that we can rectify, that is analysis of sales data is required, and how to use the market intelligence. So training should be provided on all these topics, right? So training is actually in sales, right? Selection, recruitment and training of workforce is very, very important, right? Again, a quick recap. What is selection, recruitment and training? Selection and recruitment is job description, selection, recruitment and training. What is job description? Job description is description about the jobs. Description about the job means it in detail we note down the requirements of the jobs, right? How many the requirements of the jobs. Requirement of the jobs includes the qualification, the type of the qualification, the type of experience or the type of physical abilities or the mental abilities, right? It also includes the role to be played to carry out that jobs, right? And then it also includes that is way, that is the how will you evaluate whether that job has been carried out successfully or not, that is evaluation standards, right? Job analysis includes the evaluation standards, right? Then the promotion standards, right? All these all this is the job analysis, right? What and the number of the person required, right? That is the, then comes the selection and recruitment. Selection and recruitment, after analyzing the job, we call for the application. When we call for the application, that recruitment sets in, right? We call for the application, we scrutinize the application as per the requirement, right? And then there are various tools which we use in the selections, right? Like what type of the tools we use in the selection. Application form is a tool for the selection. Then personal interviews, right? We carry out the personal interviews, rounds of personal interviews. Then comes your follow-ups, right? Or background checks, right? And then after background checks we select, right, the eligible candidate for that position, right, and we recruit them, right? Selection is a negative process while recruitment is a positive process. Selection is like in that is while we call for the application, we scrutinize the applications, right? Then in personal interviews we scrutinize, right? In background checks we scrutinize, right? So after this we recruit the people, right? After recruiting the people, it is required to provide the training to the recruited employees, newly recruited employees, as well as the old employees, as per the needs or changes in the organization. That depends, right? So training process, should be in line with the core objectives of the organization. See, the core objectives and the strategies of organization leads to the assessment of the training process, right? Then from the assessment of the training, we decide the goals of the training. As per the goals of the training, right, we assess whether the training is required. If training is required, then we assess the goals, what we want to achieve from that training, right? As per the goals, we develop and design the training process, right? And after designing and developing the training process, we implement the training process. Implementation of training process means we start providing the training to the employees, and then we evaluate the results of the training, whether we have achieved our targets or not, right? So all this is a training process. And actually in sales, right, what are the areas of training? We discussed about it. The areas of training is that it is required that our salesperson should have a company's knowledge, right? So that if any question arises about the company, he should be well versed with the company, and it shows that how confident the salesperson is, and it creates a bond, it creates a positive image about the salesperson and about the organization in the mind of the customer. It matters a lot, right? When you are not well versed about the about your company, right, then it can lead to the distrust on the company or on you about of the customer, right? Then product knowledge and application. In its application, the next type of training required to the salesperson is the sales training is product knowledge. Should have a thorough knowledge about the product, right? Each and everything about the product. If someone asks something out of about the product, right, should be able to answer those questions, right? Again, it creates a bond and interest, right? And it creates an interest bond, as well as it creates a positive image about the product, about the organization and applications, right? Then the sales technique, then the training should be provided on the sales technique, like selling process, what should be the selling process, right? Then the negotiation skills, how to negotiate with the customer, how to present yourself, right? And the product presentations, how to handle the complaints and follow-ups, reporting. Then training should be provided on the reporting system and analyzing the sales data and market intelligence, so that you can come to know about whether you have achieved your target or not. Then comes the compensation management. Compensation management is very important, right? The sales force is actually the representative of company's philosophy and business principle. It is the medium that builds the company's perception among its clients. Obviously, salesperson is the face of organization. No one knows your organization. No one knows about the infrastructure of your organization, the building of your organization. Your salesperson is actually the face of the organization, right? So sales representative or the sales force is the representative of the company's philosophy, how they present themselves, how they greet others, what type of attitude they have, what type of training you have provided to them, as per them they behave, right? It shows, the sales representative actually shows the company's philosophy and business principle, right? It is a medium medium that builds a company's perception among its clients. So the sales representatives are the face of the organization, and they are the medium which creates the perception of the clients about the organization. The salespersons of every firm or company needs to be compensated adequately to keep their individual motivational level high, while their morale should be even more higher so as to enable the team to contribute to the maximum. See, sales force or the sales representative is the face of the organization. Right, it shows the objectives and the principle of the organization. It is required that the sales representative or the salesperson of every company should be compensated adequately. Right, this compensation motivates the individual and keeps the morale high. And when an individual is motivated and when their morale is high, right, they contribute, then the team contribute to their maximum. This motivation, right, and high morale helps in excellent performance. Actually, performance depends on three things. The first is performance equals to, it depends on the three factors. The first factor is knowledge or the ability of an individual. How knowledgeable that person is, what is the capability of that individual. Through training, you can enhance their knowledge or can increase their abilities or the capabilities, right? If individual is knowledgeable, capable enough to perform, they can perform. So the first factor is performance. The second factor which plays a very important role in performance is the working environment. What type of working environment you are providing to your workforce, that plays a very important role. When an individual is knowledgeable and working in a good, optimistic, positive working environment, then the performance goes up multiple times, right? Because again they feel like it is my organization. This working environment plays a very important role in boosting up the morals, right? See, money plays a very important role, motivation plays a very important role. That money could be this external motivational factor. Money is very important, but again working environment plays a very important role. It keeps the morale of an individual high. So the second factor which plays a very important role is that your morale, the working environment. If working environment is good, positive, optimistic, then the performance goes up multiple times. The third factor which impacts the performance is motivation. Motivation means the reason in what is the motivation in layman's language. If I tell you what is motivation, the reason for one's action is motivation. Why should I do this? That is known as motivation. If you can provide the reason to your workforce, right, that is motivation. Motivation could be of two types, internal and external. Money could be a motivational factor. Promotion could be a motivational factor, right? Other things, many other like skill set enhancement could be a motivational factor. If workforce is motivated enough, then the performance further goes up. So it is very important to compensate your workforce adequately so that they could perform better or so that they can contribute to their maximum, right? And this includes this contribution, this compensation includes many things, right? That is, it includes money as well as promotions as well as working environment and many other factors, right? So compensation is very important, right? Salesperson of every company needs to be compensated in a better way, right? Compensation components. The components of compensation includes the basic compensation plan, special financial incentives and non-financial rewards. Compensation includes the financial aspect as well as the non-functional functional aspects and the basic compensation plan, right? What all is the basic compensation plan includes? The basic compensation plans includes the basic is see, compensation in terms of finances, there is a basic compensation plans which includes the basic salary, right, the minimum salary which is a taxable salary, the basic salary, the other HRA part, right, which is included in that. Then comes your DA, that is dearance allowance as per the policies of the company, then transport allowance and many other factors, many other points are there which are included in the basic compensation plan, right? So many things are included in these basic compensation plans, and it comes up with the actually what we call the CTC, or CTC is the cost to the company, right? That is how much a company is paying to the what the cost to the company, right? And not paying, that is cost to the company. When a company hires an individual, they calculate the cost, right, which a company is investing in that employee, that is cost to the company, right? CTC is that we, and employees, after deduction of the certain taxes and other things, the company pays to the employee, and that is known as the net payment, right? CTC is the total payment, right, that is cost to the company, what is company will pay you, but CTC is before deduction of the taxes and other deductible part, if there is any other, right. After deduction comes the net salary, and that has been paid to the company, to the employees, right? That is the basic compensation plan. Then comes the compensation, then comes the special financial incentives. What all are the special financial incentives? Special financial incentives in sales forces, in sales organization, the special financial incentives could be related to the goals, right? It could be related to the goals like the target has been given to each and every individual, right? If someone achieves the target or more than that target, then a special incentive could be given to that individual. It could be in terms of money, right? Say some extra payments to that individual for that particular, for achieving that goal, that is this some special financial incentives, or extra. Then comes another, could be that could be a fixed amount to be paid, right, as an incentive to each and to the employees, right, not on the basis of the targets, but a fixed, the company has fixed an incentive that should be paid to each and every employee, right? It could be on financial incentives, right? Again varies from company to company, right? Again financial incentives could includes like few companies provides LTC to their, that is leave travel allowances, right, or concession to their employees, right? That is they can go for leave with their families, and company will compensate that, right? It could be the special financial incentives, right? And it could be right, it could be the bonus, right, or it could be the extra, it could be the like overtime, right? These are the special financial incentives, right, which could be included, or which the companies includes in the compensation. Non-financial rewards is the non-financial rewards includes where money is not involved, but many other things are involved, like your promotions. Promotion is a non-financial rewards. Promotion actually indirectly involves can involve finances, but promotion actually increases the status of an individual in the society as well as in the organization. It gives the authority to the individual. So this is the non-financial involves like promotions, right? Like empowerment is a non-financial reward, right? When you empower someone to take the decisions, right, and so that they can run the department, right? The important thing is that they should be able to achieve the target. It could be the non-financial empowerment, could be non-financial reward. Then appreciation, non-financial reward. Appreciation plays a very important role. When you appreciate someone, it releases dopamine, again an anti-stress hormone, right? So appreciation or recognition, appreciation and recognition could be a non-financial reward, right? Appreciation plays a very important role. It could be it could compensate. It is a part of a compensation. Appreciation, rewards, right? And then leave, right? That is a part, right, of that could be a part of non-financial rewards, right? And other and many like skill set enhancement or training, right? When you train someone, right, as per the requirement or as per the changes in the industry, it enhances the skill set of an individual, or it is a reward. When the company is paying for your training and you are getting trained and enhancing, it is enhancing your skill set, right, which will help you to perform better, and right, it will help you in your promotions or give your maximum. This could, the training could be a non-financial rewards. Time to time it is required to provide training to the to increase the skill set of or enhance the skill set of an individual, right? It could be a non-financial rewards or compensation, right? So today we discussed about the job description, selection recruitment, and then we discussed about training part, and we discussed about the compensation components, right? And in our next lecture we'll start with another topic, right? That's all for today. Thank you very much. Namaskar.